Colin, thank you so much for coming to chat to me today.
Really my pleasure. It is, really.
First of all, I want to say happy birthday.
Okay.
Okay. Because you did celebrate your birthday this week and you were years old. Yes. I won't disclose how old you are. And during those years, few years obviously, you've achieved so much. And I'm going to have to look and list what you've done because it is incredible.
To embarrass me.
Yeah, obviously. So you've represented Great Britain and Wales on numerous occasions. You've got an Olympic silver medal from Seoul 88. You've become world champion twice, world indoor champion. You went undefeated at the European Championships for 12 years. Yeah. That's incredible. You were a two-time Commonwealth champion. Your world record of 12.91 in the 110-metre hurdle stood for over a decade. And your 60-metre hurdles world record still stands.
Yes.
Wow. When you're looking back at that career, what is your wow moment? What is that moment that you can't forget?
Do you know, I'd say the thing for me that stood out, and still does stand out more, was my real longevity. And even though I suffered from many injuries along the way, lots of times people think I hardly got injured because I was always competing. But I did take a couple of times out when I was injured, but still to maintain that high level of performance for, you know, from literally I was a teenager, from being 19 and winning my first silver medal at the Commonwealth Games for Wales in 1986. So there you go, I've given you a clue. Right the way through until the end of my career, winning the European Championships in 2002. Outdoors. So it was just for me having that real ability to stay at the top. And, you know, even within that, I actually enjoyed it as well. Yeah.
So, yeah, you spoke about the longevity of the career, and for a lot of athletes, staying motivated for that amount of time would be really difficult. So how did you work that? Did you work in the 4-year cycles, or did you work race by race, or what sort of goals did you have?
Yeah, I really did everything year by year, race by race. So I was very meticulous in planning. I never left anything to chance in that sense. So everything was planned out. So for example, in October, I would know my whole race schedule, both indoors and out, and already planning my vacation in September, right? So that's how kind of organised I was.
That's what everyone thinks about, that September block.
I get that September in. So everything is planned really up until that particular mark. And I think that kind of routine and planning gave me a sense of stability. So I knew exactly where I was at. So no goal was too far away. So everything was achievable daily. Because each step, every increment was for a particular reason. It wasn't just done for a random cause.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what really kept me motivated. And of course, there was virtually a championship every year. So when there's a championships that you have to focus for as well, then of course that will keep you going time and time and time again. And
hurdles is probably one of the most unforgiving events. I mean, the tiniest error can cause the biggest problem in a race. So when you did have those issues in races, how did you come back from that? How did you get over those hurdles?
Hurdles, yeah. How did you get over the hurdle of hurdles, right? Do you know what? This is going to be a weird answer. Maybe when you talk to people before, they've given you some kind of similar answer. And I'll be totally honest and I'll say, I have no idea, right? I have truly no idea. I just was me, you know, and I dealt with everything the way that I dealt with things. So whatever hand of, you know, I was dealt with, I kind of worked with at that particular moment in time. I always had a desire, a continuous desire, to keep pushing the boundaries. And I think that is when I got injured and I had to return from, you know, an upset or something that didn't go too well. I think that's when I was lucky that I always had that sense of, right, that happened, but we're going to go better the next time. We're going to try a little bit harder. We're going to make this work this time. Yeah. And also, I used to think about questioning myself quite a bit. So I'd always ask questions of, was it because I got injured, or was it because my nutrition wasn't right, or was it because I was lazy in a couple of sessions? So I always kind of then had to go under every little pebble that was around and then make sure I dusted it out, refocus myself, and then we'll try my challenge again.
Yeah, because obviously in athletics there are so many variables that could affect the performance. So like you've talked about nutrition there and things like that, and how strict were you on yourself in all those areas? Like, would you allow yourself to go out with your friends on the weekend, or was it your season is your season and you're focused on your race?
Yeah, no, I mean, I came from the power-based athlete, so, you know, people would think that a lot of times that we've eaten a lot of proteins and all this business to get strong, but I was bordering more on anorexia. So I had a massive weight issue in my mind. I always looked at myself and thought, I don't really look in great shape. I was always comparing myself to my peers and thinking, I don't look like that. And that in itself is a big thing for you to carry, especially as a bloke in that sense, you know, because it wasn't that time people talking about men suffering from these kind of mental issues, because that's ultimately what it was. And I had to kind of deal with that, with everything else. So everything was a challenge. But I did go out, and when I did go out and enjoy myself, I really would treat myself to a pasta.
Oh, is it a pasta? Is that your go-to?
I'd have like, I'm having a spaghetti carbonara today, so I'm really being naughty, you know. Oh, I may get a donut.
Do you know what? People always laugh at me because I'll say like, oh, I might have like jerk chicken and I'll have celeriac chips on a Saturday, and they're like, that's not a treat. Like,
trust me, it was.
But as a sports person, those fine margins you're looking at, and you're thinking, well, I can't stray away from that too much. It's something that's always on your mind.
And then the question I always ask, adding to that, I mean, well, your statement is right. That was always in the back of my mind. But on reflection, I always look back and go, really, would it have made that much difference? You know, if I did have a crème brûlée now and again, or a tiramisu every so often when I felt like it, most probably not. Most probably not. But the issues that you have to deal with in your mind, when your mind is trying to tell you one thing and you're trying to do something else, it just really tells you the power of the brain, you know, and how you switch yourself on and what it can actually do.
Now, when you retired from sport, what was that brain process like? How did that change? Because I've spoken to people like Christian Malcolm, and I think when he retired from sport, he basically ate cake for every meal. He just couldn't stop himself, and all those sort of commitments went out the window, and he just stayed away from the track and had that relaxing time. So what was that like for you?
When I first retired, I was really anxious because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, because all I knew is that I could run. Right? That's the only thing I knew. I was running from I was really young, so that's the only thing I was thinking I was good at. Never thought that anything that I'd learned in athletics would have any impact outside of athletics. So I was really kind of pillar box vision in what I could do and how I could help people in that sense. So I suffered a lot from anxiety. So I even went to the doctors to try and help me kind of get myself out of that. And my GP was brilliant, and I remember him saying to me that, don't worry, you've just retired from something, right? Just be cool. Things will kind of, what will happen.
Get so into place.
But I got rid of all training stuff as well. Training stuff to me I was not interested in. So it was like, get rid of spikes, get rid of tracksuits. I had no interest in doing anything. Because athletics was my business by the time I'd retired. So I kind of say to people, it's like, would you ask a judge to go and sit in court after they've retired? No, you wouldn't, right? You just let them sit down. So it's exactly the same thing with us. It's like, once it was your business and you've done it, you've done your workload, let's just try and find something else. So the first thing I did was get a motorbike license. So midlife crisis, isn't it, right? So I had a motorbike license, and then I went out to learn to ski and snowboard.
Oh, wow. And these are two things that athletes probably stay away from when they're doing athletics, right? So
I kind of thought to myself, let me just do something a little bit different. And also something I wanted to do, you know. And other things I thought that could enhance my life. So, you know, being able to get a motorbike license just meant that if there was a job that came up that needed me to ride a motorbike, I could say, yeah, I can do it. I've got the license. Or, you know, same thing, learn to ski and snowboard. If there was jobs that was happening, I needed to be able to ski and snowboard, boom, I was capable of doing it.
Now, you've gone into sports broadcasting, and that's a path that you've taken. What enticed you into that? Because Jeanette, she talks about how it gives her the same buzz as when she was doing athletics. So she's doing a live broadcast, she gets nervous for it. Is that similar to yourself? Is that something that you enjoy in that?
I think first of all, when I was went into sport broadcasting, I was always kind of nervous, thinking, oh, what's people going to think I'm going to say now, you know? And so you get to that stage where you're slightly anxious, and it is like you're going to go and compete. So Jeanette Quatch is right when she says that. I mean, for now, though, it's kind of like, I just do what I do, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of go, yeah, well, this is work, so you have to do that. There are some occasions, though, you're never always blasé, right? So there are some occasions where, like, I'll have in my earpiece, they're going, and we're like 13, 10, and all of a sudden I feel my heart going. I'm like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? I've usually been doing this now.
Yeah.
So, and I like the fact that you still get a little bit of buzz, but I'll be honest, we get front row seats at the best competitions in the world when it comes to the sport of athletics. Who would turn down that job, right? So for me, it's the ideal situation scenario. I thoroughly still enjoy my sport of athletics. I'm a huge fan of the sport. And I think being a fan of the sport and being able to work on it is just magical, really is.
Well, that's something I was going to ask you is it the love of the sport why you do the sports broadcasting, or would you ever think of commentating another sport, maybe snowboarding or skiing, I guess?
No, I love athletics. I'm not going to lie. I love my athletics. You know, I could go and use the skills that I've learned in broadcast to broadcast into another sport for sure. Yeah, because it's a skill and you're just kind of implementing it elsewhere. So, yeah, I could do it, but number one for me, always athletics. Yeah, I just love it. I'm a huge fan.
And do you set goals within this sort of media world like you would in your athletics, like you did in your athletics career? Is there something you want to pursue further in that, like presenting and going further in that, or?
Yeah, no, I never ever thought that I wanted, it's funny, I've never ever felt like I wanted to be a TV presenter in that sense, or a host or anything like that. I enjoy what I do as a pundit, I enjoy what I do as a commentator. That's why I really like to sit in that sense. But on the complete reverse of that, and a bit contradictory, which you expect from me, right, would be I love presenting on radio.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that real kind of, I don't know what it is about radio, I just love it.
I love radio too, yeah. I think it's because you can like go in your pyjamas and no one even knows.
Yes, I guess, yeah. I think that is a good call as well, because, yeah, I kind of, yeah, you can just, I think on radio, I think you can articulate yourself a little bit more. So, you know, you can explain to an audience, oh, I'm just getting myself comfy and kicking off my shoes. Whilst if that's visual and somebody on TV
so what are you doing?
Kicking off his shoes, they're like, what are you doing? You know, it's just like, looks weird.
Yeah.
But there's something warming about radio, I think, and presenting in radio, which kind of attracts me. So that's where I'm at kind of on the media side of things. And do I set myself goals? Do you know, sometimes yes and no. Okay, so sometimes at certain major championships, for example, I make sure I knew a couple of interesting facts about particular athletes that I only knew.
Okay.
Right. So we are a team. So you know, our sole job really is to broadcast the nation and hopefully make the nation more knowledgeable about sport and make people be fans and be passionate about it. But even though we're a team and we share a lot of information, we always have one
but a little bit
that belong to us, right? So that when we deliver those, people go, oh, I never knew that. And you go, yeah, and I was the one who told you.
Now, you're back coaching. So you've previously coached the likes of Tim Benjamin and Rhys Williams, but I've seen you've worked with Daley Thompson and his group a little bit as well. What is it that you enjoy about the coaching side?
First of all, I think coaching, you've got to understand, you've got to have that sense of commitment because you're committing to somebody. You're being somebody's career, right? So you're guiding somebody's career in a sense. So it's a bit of a step up from mentoring. So I've always enjoyed mentoring and passing on as much knowledge as I could possibly get. So that's the number one thing. And then when it comes to coaching, I think after mentoring for such a long time, and also now being very settled in my life, I knew how much time I could give up to athletes in that sense. So once you realise you've got the time, you've got the ability, and you've got the knowledge base to be able to pass that information on, that's what I kind of do now. So that's why I've kind of re-engaged in coaching in that sense. So I'm kind of doing one or two, 3, 4 athletes here. We kind of little dip in. I dip into other training groups as well, which is great. And you bring the athletes over and you share alike. But I think knowledge is always important. I think we should share knowledge. I don't think we should be too greedy in that sense. So for me, it would nearly be a crime for me to be sitting on my sofa watching athletes train and going, well, I could sort that out in 2 weeks. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Go with those athletes and try and help them and try and sort that out. And that's kind of been my driving factor now. So as I'm, reaching the ripe old age, getting towards pensionable age, I think.
No.
It's about time that I did something.
And with your coaching hat on,
Yeah.
Welsh athletics is in a great place at the moment. I mean, they came back from Gold Coast, most medals. What do you think of the up-and-coming prospects?
I mean, excited. I mean, just on the weekend, watching Jeremiah run there was just sensational.
He's, what, 17 years old?
Yeah, 17-year-old running in the 6.6s consistently. This is the thing. It's not like he has his one-hit wonder. He had 3 tough races on the weekend just gone by, and he did them all very, very well. And when you're 17 and you're full of energy and excited, I kind of smile, because it takes me back as well. You get a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
You look back and go, I remember being 17 and being very excited in the prospects and what's available, So when you see that, of course, you have the sense of pride, because they come from the same place as you, in that sense. So you have that real sense of, wow. And also you think that I really hope, and I truly mean it, that they have a blessed career the same the way I had a blessed career. That people are helping them, people are guiding all the way through to the very top. I see no reason why you couldn't.
Oh, do you know, that's such a lovely thing to say, just have a blessed career. I think that having people like yourself as someone to look up to, for someone like Jeremiah, for someone like myself, growing up in athletics, is perfect to have those.
It's nice that you can do that, And I'm a firm believer when it comes to people. If you can see it, so if you see somebody who's like yourself, comes from the same background, comes from the same city, and you see them do it, then you can believe you can do it.
Yeah.
Because you're exactly the same as them. There's no different. Whatever took them to the top is available to me today. I can get there as well. If I have the desire and the ability, there's got a couple of things got to go in line. It's not that just and live there, then you're going to be great, right? It doesn't go that way. But,
Damn it.
But, the reality of that if you really see it and you know it and you see people experience it from the same background you, then you can believe it and you can be it as well. No worries.
Colin, you spoke about having a little nugget kept behind, a little bit of information. Now, I like an Instagram stalk.
Okay.
So I've seen you and Jamie Bolsh have been doing some sessions, hitting the gym together. So I guess my final question to you is, does this mean we'll be seeing you on the track at Toronto 2022 for the World Masters Champs?
Right. I'm going to tell you something on this now, right? One of my good friends who's Canadian, who's the Olympic champion for 110 meters, Mark McCoy, he spoke to me last year and he said to me, listen, I am going for 2020 in Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? That's me. I said, you've got to be kidding me. He said, no, come on. He said, if you join and we get together, it'll be like old times. I said, I'm not sure if I want to reverse the clock, right? It was great while we were young. I'm not so sure if I want to do that now. But no, for me, and both to Jamie, I think I can speak for both of us at this stage, there's a stage in your life when you just say to yourself, you know what? Let's just see what we can do. Let's just apply ourselves in invested in ourselves physically and mentally and see how life can change around us. And I think already both of us has very much enjoyed the company of being together and sharing that full experience together. It's just been truly great. So don't write off.
Yeah, exclusive.
If things go well, I maybe give Mark a ring and say, buddy, we're lining up next year.
Oh, Colin, it's been lovely to chat to you.
Thank you very much.
And you'll be heading up to Glasgow for the European Champs.
Yes.
So please do enjoy.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Take care.